You hear it all the time, right? The human brain versus AI. It's always framed like this epic showdown, this race between our own biology and the machines we've built. But what if that's completely the wrong way to look at it? Let's break down what really separates these two incredible kinds of intelligence.
All right, so let's just tackle the big question head on, the one everyone seems to be asking. Who wins? Is it us or the machines? Well, it turns out that's kind of like asking whether a hammer or a screwdriver is the better tool. They're both incredibly useful, but they are built for completely different jobs.
And that fundamental difference? It starts right here. Our brains are biological. They're these messy, wet, complex things, some of the most complex structures in the universe. AI, on the other hand, is purely mathematical. It runs on cold, hard logic, data, and algorithms. And trust me, that's not just a minor detail. It changes everything.
This is where we humans really shine. Our brains learn from this rich mix of experiences, of feelings, of senses. We can read between the lines, right? We get sarcasm. We feel empathy for someone. We're masters at making these gut instinct decisions with fuzzy, incomplete information. A skill that is just incredibly hard for a machine to even begin to copy.
AI does, well, none of that. It's not pretending to have feelings. It literally can't. It doesn't wonder about things. It doesn't imagine. It just takes an input, runs it through an incredibly complex mathematical model, and spits out an output. It's a process of calculation, not contemplation.
Okay, so if one is biological and the other is basically just math, how do they actually learn anything? Let's dig into that, because the way they build knowledge could not be more different.
Just think about this for a second. You can show a toddler a dog, maybe 2 or 3 different dogs, and they pretty quickly get the idea of dog. Then you can show them a totally new breed they've never seen before. And what do they say? Dog. It's this amazingly efficient, almost magical, intuitive process.
Now compare that to an AI. For an AI to reliably identify a dog in a picture, it has to be trained on a massive, massive data set. We're talking sometimes millions of images of dogs, all shapes, all sizes, in every situation you can imagine. It learns through brute force pattern recognition, not real intuitive understanding.
So here's the bottom line on learning. We humans learn slowly, sure, but we build these deep, flexible models of how the world works. AI, on the other hand, learns by just gobbling up gigantic amounts of data to get really, really good at one specific task. It's the difference between genuine understanding and just processing.
This brings us to their core superpowers, because each one has an area where it is just absolutely unbeatable. It really boils down to a classic trade-off: incredible speed versus incredible flexibility.
And this table just lays it out perfectly. Our superpower is adaptability. We can take something we learned over here and apply it creatively to a totally new problem over there. AI really struggles when it sees something it wasn't trained on. But its superpower? Oh, it's breathtaking speed. It can scan a data set that would take us a lifetime to read and find patterns in seconds. It's not even a contest.
Okay, now for a comparison you might not have ever thought about. What does it actually cost in pure energy to run these two systems? The answer is pretty wild.
The human brain, this amazing machine that can write poetry and figure out the laws of physics, it runs on about 20 watts of power. That is less than a dim light bulb. It's just an absolute masterpiece of biological efficiency.
AI, though, it's an energy hog. The kind of work it does requires these massive data centers packed with servers that drink up enormous amounts of electricity and need constant, powerful cooling systems just to keep from overheating. In terms of efficiency, there is simply no comparison.
But hey, let's be fair, AI has some pretty killer advantages of its own. It never gets tired, it doesn't need to sleep, its memory is absolutely perfect, it never forgets a thing, and you can copy it 1,000,000 times to scale up a job instantly. I mean, those are straight-up superhuman abilities our biology just can't compete with.
So, after looking at all these comparisons, we finally get to the most important shift in how we should think about this whole thing. It is time to stop thinking versus and start thinking with. The real power isn't in some kind of competition, it's in collaboration. I mean, just look at how perfectly these strengths fit together. We bring the creative spark, the ethical questions, the nuanced judgment. AI brings the raw speed to test our ideas, the accuracy to sift through data, and the massive scale to apply solutions to the world. You see how this works? It's the perfect partnership.
And that's really the big takeaway here, the thing to remember.
AI isn't some rival mind waiting to take over. It is a tool. It's arguably the most powerful tool our minds have ever created. It's an extension of what we can do, not a replacement for who we are.
Which leaves us, you and me, with a huge question. Because like any tool, from a hammer to a computer, its impact depends entirely on who's using it and why. The future isn't about what AI is going to do to us. It's about what we choose to do with it. So the real question is, what are we going to build together?